In the recent CNN town hall, Kamala Harris candidly talked about how she wants to nationalize the healthcare industry with her Medicare for All plan while abolishing private health insurance. Kamala Harris also wants to get rid of those dastardly semi-automatic firearms. Add to this the fact that Harris, along with every current candidate for the Democratic Party nomination, is favorable to the Green Leap Forward, which seeks to abolish fossil fuel energy, just about 70% of the energy industry in the United States, all while Bernie Sanders and goofy Elizabeth Warren are opening up the conversation about wealth taxes. So to sum things up, the Democratic Party message for 2020 is simple. In their utopia, nobody is allowed to have guns, private health insurance, fossil fuel energy, or money. All this talk about taxation and wealth and the 70% marginal tax rates above $10 million. Oh god, and these fucking progressives. It's a marginal tax. It's like these magatards that talk about immigration. Actually, we're not against immigration. We're just against illegal immigration. Trying to distract me with these fucking semantic games while ignoring the bigger picture. Also, apparently every billionaire is a policy failure. Look at Chris Sacca over here trying to sell goofy Elizabeth Warren a rope to hang him with. Talking about how great of an idea the wealth tax is because he cares so much about education. Of course, nothing is stopping Chris Sacca from spending 2 to 3% of his wealth, which would be about $20 to $30 million, on opening up his own school and educating 2,000 low-income kids at a $10,000 per head per year budget. But apparently it's easier to just beg politicians to take your money and educate all of the children for you. Because, as we all know, spending more tax dollars magically makes education better. While we're here, can we finally dismiss this dumb, dishonest argument about how all these socialists want is to make America like Denmark and Sweden and Norway? I can't count how many times I've heard these frauds try to gaslight people when they claim that they don't want the socialism in Venezuela. That country that Bernie Sanders praised on his personal website back in 2011, which is based largely on oil resources that Democrats want to abolish here in America. No. These people want the so-called socialism in countries like Norway, which also relies heavily on oil resources that Democrats are seeking to abolish in America. According to Tax Foundation, Norway currently has no estate taxes, while Denmark and Sweden's inheritance taxes are well below America's. The taxes that Bernie wants to jack up so badly. Every billionaire is a policy failure, huh? Well, then they can't possibly want to turn America into Norway and Sweden, countries that have more billionaires per capita than the United States. Also, according to another source, these Scandinavian countries don't have the wealth taxes that Bernie Sanders and goofy Elizabeth Warren are trying to impose in the United States. Of course, countries like Venezuela, Cuba, and North Korea have a serious lack of billionaires. I guess places like Cuba and North Korea are considered a policy success according to the blue checkmark morons. So everyone on the left until now thought that the coast was clear. President Cheeto Nazi has low approval ratings. Trump's administration has been a failure given all of the people that have been fired or resigned, the government shutdown, the fact that Democrats took back the House in 2018 was a good sign. So they were thinking, 2020, this is our moment. We're really gonna make America pay for the sins of the 2016 election. We're gonna make the Obama administration look like Ronald Reagan. But then, something happened. That's right. Coffee man Howard Schultz expressed interest in running for president. Schultz has not officially announced that he's running for president. He just said he's exploring the idea of running as an independent. Because why run as a Democrat when the entire party's lost their goddamn mind? Now, some speculate that Schultz is just doing this for attention. After all, Howard Schultz is currently on a book tour at the moment.
Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!
Maybe Schultz is just trying to get free publicity for Starbucks and himself. Maybe Schultz is just trying to encourage moderates to run for the Democratic nomination. Either way, progressives are tripping over themselves to bitch and moan about it. And in all fairness, there's a lot to not like about Howard Schultz. He seems to think that truth is objective, judging by this stupid tweet about my truth and your truth. No, there's just the truth. Howard Schultz once tried to get the city of Seattle to fork over tax dollars to help him finance a new arena for the Seattle Supersonics, which he owned at the time. And when the city told him to get bent, he ended up selling the team to a group that would move the team to Oklahoma City and start to pinch pennies because now the Sonics are in a small market, which caused them to throw away perhaps the greatest team of all time by trading James Harden to avoid paying the luxury. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. Regardless, billionaires should not be demanding subsidies to fund their business. And I'm not particularly crazy about Starbucks and their history of appealing to left-wing rage mobs and virtue signaling. So while I admire the coffee man for his achievements, there's a lot I don't like about him politically. But there's one huge upside to Howard Schultz. He's not a nationalist buffoon like Donald Trump, nor is he one of these loony leftists that the Democratic Party is trotting out, thinking that they can exploit the anti-Trump attitude in the country by sneaking more socialism into America in 2020. Yeah, no thanks, Chief. So, of course, everyone left of Dave Rubin is losing their shit over Howard Schultz. And this is all really telling. All of this hysteria about Howard Schultz splitting the vote, taking votes away from Democrats. It's almost as if these progressives are aware that whatever candidate they pick to square off against Trump in 2020 will be shitty or unpopular, if not both. We can't have this liberal Howard Schultz coming along, siphoning votes from helpless Americans who don't want Trump nor whatever nonsense comes from the Democratic Party. It's also amazing how all of these people on the left have been clinging to this false virtue of democracy ever since Trump got elected.
The Senate is undemocratic. The Electoral College needs to go because it's not democratic enough.
Ezra Klein wrote an entire piece about it for Vox. Even in response to the coverage of Venezuela, I've seen many leftists justify the Maduro regime because, hey, Nicolas Maduro was democratically elected. Meanwhile, these knuckleheads want Americans to have as few choices as possible in the 2020 election. And we're talking about Howard freaking Schultz here, a guy that liberals made rich, as Bridget Fedesi pointed out. A guy that created safe spaces for progressives to blog about the evils of capitalism on their $1,800 MacBooks. A guy that turned coffee beans into an empire that employs hundreds of thousands of people with health benefits and gives the poorest of the poor free access to bathrooms and Wi-Fi. Yet progressives suddenly hate the guy for the sin of making money and jeopardizing a perfect opportunity for them to turn America into Venezuela. Above everything else, what's obvious is that these people are happy to trash Howard Schultz even though he's been on their side for decades. They're willing to burn Schultz at the stake because he's a greedy, privileged billionaire. All while they celebrate scumbag politicians like goofy Elizabeth Warren, who lied about her heritage for opportunity. They love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for being a Marxist moron. And they love Bernie Sanders for being a career politician after not having a steady job until his 40s. In other words, progressives celebrate looting over achievement. Progressives celebrate bureaucracy over wealth creation. With that said, I want to conclude this video with a message to billionaires like Coffee Man and Boss Bezos and Chris Sacca and the rest who try to play cool with the kids and appeal to left-wing cry-bullies. Stop being a pansy. I know you guys are not pansies because nobody made $1 billion by being a coward. Be proud of what you do and what you've achieved, and don't apologize for it. These politicians and the blue checkmark morons don't like you. They never have, and they never will, no matter how much good you do for them and the people they claim to care so much about.